So pick who. Maybe we go back to a conventional Christianity where I feel almost comfortable after that.
Okay, well, somebody's got a bone to pick with me. Jonathan in Arizona.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
Someone's got a bone to pick with me.
Yeah. Start picking.
Right. Yeah.
Start picking.
That's all right. What's up, man? What do you want to talk about?
Okay. Well, first, it's great to talk to both of you again. So, yeah, what I initially called in with was what I thought was going to be a pretty quick discussion. But at this point, having heard the last two calls, as a Christian, I feel compelled to kind of tip the scales back on the side of rationality because it's embarrassing to hear what I just heard from these people. I'm not to impugn their sincerity.
No. It's a very common thing for Christians to contact us all the time and say, those aren't good examples of Christianity. And so the thing is that almost any Christian you talk to, once you start really getting into the nitty-gritty, everyone has a religion of one. But what's yours? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Right. And I understand that, and that's absolutely true. Basically, my responses to the conversations that you guys had with the previous two callers would have nothing to do with religion or the fact that I'm a Christian. The several topics of, vaccines causing autism, the earth is flat, we didn't go to the moon, the ice wall, and plus, Phil, you were cracking me up, dude, with the White Walkers thing. That was hilarious.
That was actually Eric's comment, but that's where I was going to.
Is it? Did I steal that from you? I'm sorry.
You channeled that. And
you know what? I've been working on the hair.
We're symbiotic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Yeah. No, that was hysterical.
Yeah. If she said there was a white tree on the other side of the wall, I was going to lose it.
Well,
honestly, I talked to Matt a couple of weeks ago on the Atheist Experience, and we had what I consider was a pretty pleasant conversation. And at the end of it, because a previous caller he just got off the phone with said, science isn't real, at the end of our conversation, he asked me the question, is science real?
I heard that.
And after understanding what he meant, I answered his questions. And one of the questions was do vaccines cause autism? I have a 3-year-old son who is autistic, and he's vaccinated. I see nothing that correlates the two. And that was something else that I was so sad that it didn't come up when she said, oh, well, ever since vaccines, children were becoming more autistic. Well, guess what? Children were also not dying of freaking typhoid and measles. And
that was
the numbers on that.
That's where I tried to go with that even if autism was caused by vaccinations, I'd rather have an autistic child than a dead one. So,
and as soon as you said that, I said, fucking right, because I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it, Jonathan.
And for those of you who do want to do some research on it, take a look at how we have tested and how we have over time expanded our knowledge of and our understanding of autism and how that is a spectrum. And
I was just going to say, Jonathan, you're aware of the spectrum. And different kids are diagnosed with autism, but can have very, very different life experiences. Is that true as a parent of an autistic child?
That's absolutely true. Not only that, but several of the traits that are commonly associated with autism are also associated with other things like ADD, ADHD. Mm-hmm. They're not specific. They don't define your children.
No, absolutely, which is why the term neurodivergent is having a much more impactful place in the way we discuss things, is because we're just finding that, we are just so different from each other that when you create this idea of, well, what is normal? Is that something we should all ascribe to? It's like asking somebody, who might have one leg, how well they're going to do in a marathon race. It's not fair. We do the best we can with what we have. And we set our goals and we set our sights on those things that are achievable so we can live.
And can't we just all love each other? I mean, just...
Right. And like you said, there's different levels of autism. There's autism that is extreme, where children are beating their heads against the wall because they don't know how to, express emotion.
Right.
And those are actually children that I've worked with. I've actually worked with kids who are nonverbal, who can't potty themselves or feed themselves, that kind of thing.
Right. And my son is referred to as high functioning. extremely high functioning, as a matter of fact. He just turned 3 at the beginning of this month, and he actually knows how to read. He knows how to write. He knows how to do addition. He knows all of the colors in English and Spanish. He can tell you geometric shapes like the difference between a rhombus or a semicircle or a pentagon. He knows these.
That's cool.
He's ahead of the game. So, I mean, being autistic is not something to fear. It doesn't do anything to diminish your child.
Agreed. And it sounds like you have a lot to be proud of as a father, Jonathan.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him for sure. He's the one who's always wanted to put in the effort, and we just cater to it until he doesn't want to.
Well, I was going to say that is a sign of quality parenting. So bravo.
Cheers to that. Now,
thanks.
You got a bone to pick with me. What's up?
Oh, yeah, we almost got off that.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah. Sorry about the rant.
No, it's all good. We're just people trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, what I was like, I guess the bone is, a lot of the phone calls that you had in the past, Eric. This is to you specifically because I'm quoting you. You said several times that the Bible was written by a bunch of Bronze Age goat herders. And it cracks me up how you say it. But you do acknowledge that is an ad hominem attack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
I mean,
know that because
we don't know many of the authors. And some authors that we have been able to track as far as the New Testament is concerned, we don't have any reason to believe that they were all Bronze Age goat herders.
Yeah, most of them were sheep herders.
I do.
See, that's why I called. I needed that clarification.
Right. I do stand behind the Bronze Age part, but that's just, historical.
Well, that's just time.
Yeah. But ultimately, the reason that I bring it up is because I want to inspire people to look into it. And if it did inspire you to look into it, then I hope that it could have inspired you to look into the authenticity, the historicity, and why we should believe authors that I'm sure we don't know many of the authors in the Bible, especially the Old Testament.
Sure, and absolutely, sure, of course. But I'm willing to bet that you would agree that ad hominem is probably not the most productive way to get people interested in looking into it.
Actually, no.
I mean, you wouldn't.
So the
really, you really think that by insulting someone, it impugns their credibility of what they said? Well,
so the thing is, I think it takes all types. I think that some ideas should be made fun of.
Well, I agree with that. Sure.
Yeah,
but you're not talking about the idea. You're talking about in the context that because it was goat herders that wrote, the Bible or parts of the Bible.
You could have really smart goat herders.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think.
The connotation that gives off is that they're stupid. You have no reason to believe anything they said. No, which is why it's the fallacy.
So actually, the thing that runs through my head when I say it is superstition. And I think that I could probably rework the way I say that when I say that is you have people from the Bronze Age who were prone to superstition, who saw things in the sky that they didn't understand and so wanted to make up explanations, reasons, and stories to better understand the world around them because they didn't have the tools to investigate it at the time. Now,
the tools part, is that really different from today?
Yeah, I was wondering myself.
It's probably more now because there's more people to be ignorant and be superstitious.
But we do have universities. You have to agree. We have a whole lot more tools than we did.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So
how many of these people are actually? How many of them care enough to actually put in that effort?
Well, there are people who think that universities are a negative thing, a la our previous caller.
Yeah. Now,
and that's what I was about to say, too, that it was a ridiculous thing for her to say the majority of university professors are such and such because she can't know that.
Yeah. And
I can't be a student of the majority of universities and be a student of the majority of these professors. It's another way of just saying, I believe this and I don't have a good reason, and you're pretty much not going to convince me I'm wrong.
And
you're right.
I mean, I think anybody who has sufficient experience in a university can tell you, I have met plenty of professors who are so deeply diametrically opposed at every level that to say that you could make a general, statement about them together would be deeply offensive to both of them.
Right. And to make a comparison, I mean, basically what she did to those professors is the same ad hominem fallacy that you did to the goat herders.
Well, so again, going back to it, I do have some information that you don't. I have access to the email that comes in to tv@atheist-community.org and mail@talkheathen.com. And I've actually had lots of people reach out and say, hey, you know what? You said something that pissed me off and I wanted to prove you wrong. And so when I investigated, it turns out I was holding on to beliefs and I didn't have good reasons to. So do I think that every interaction should be vitriolic? Heck no. No. I think that perpetuates a stereotype of the angry atheist. That said, yeah, there's a place for it. And I think I'm still trying to find my mix. I'm still trying to find where I fit into that. And I think just trying to be honest along the way is where I'm going to wind up.
Perfect. Yeah, of course.
That said, yeah, Bronze Age goat herders just sounds better, doesn't it?
It does have a certain ring to it.
That said, do you want to talk about what you believe and why you believe it?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw in my little final note there that said that these Bronze Age goat herders, whether what they wrote is true or not, here we are, thousands of years later, still trying to figure that out.
The thing is I think so long as we're working on the tools, as long as we're sharpening them and making sure that we demand good evidence and are able to investigate for good reasons and believe things for good reasons, I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there. But what's your good reason? Why do you believe? What do you believe?
Regarding like Christian, well, because I'm a Christian, which doesn't tell you really anything. But I believe in the resurrection. I believe the historical record for the resurrection. The New Testament, like a lot of the claims in the New Testament, are pretty well attested outside with the extra biblical sources.
Really?
And ultimately, that led me to the belief in the resurrection. That's how I became a Christian. And this is 8 years ago. And to this day, I still study religion and also like apologetics, counter-apologetics. I read sources from both sides. And everything that I've learned, I'm still more convinced that what I believe has been like more well supported and not so much challenged in a way that I've become skeptical.
Okay. So there are a couple places that we can go. But the first, and I think one of the ones that sticks out to me the most there, Jonathan, is you said extra biblical evidence for claims made within the Bible. And if you watch the show, you'll probably know that I've got a couple go-to examples. But
well, you and I actually had that conversation.
Oh, we did? Okay. So what extra biblical evidence is backed up that shows you that miracles happen?
Not so much. It doesn't lead to that miracles happen. That's kind of
or that they
going
can happen,
from
maybe.
something. Well, okay. So I'm going to try to sum up the best way that I can.
Okay.
That the non-Christian sources that wrote about Jesus, which outweigh the sources that any sources that wrote about Caesar, at least give me a good understanding that it's more likely true that Jesus existed, which doesn't tell me anything about divinity, but at least he existed. And then Bart Ehrman's book, Did Jesus Exist? Further strengthened that belief that Jesus existed because of how he explains the historical method and how they
I really can't speak.
And stuff.
I really can't speak to Bart Ehrman, but I can speak to me, and Phil can speak to himself.
Well, one of the things I would like to ask is that let's go for a minute and say there was a guy named Jesus that existed.
Yeshua.
I'm normally not even going to go there, but let's just play. You made the comparison to Caesar. I don't worship Caesar. So the fact that there's more evidence, which I'm not sure I agree with, but again, we're just playing. How do you know that Jesus is divine? And, here's what I'll do. I'll go to this. Do you think that Jesus sacrificed himself for you?
Yes, I believe that. I believe that he was the sacrificial atonement to...
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So if he sacrificed something, what was it that he sacrificed?
That's actually a good question. I'm a smoker, by the way. That's a good question.
I'm hoping for a good answer. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, by sacrifice, it's a difficult, it's difficult for me to even understand. But the way that I understand it is that his sacrifice, living a sinless life, and then the resurrection, he defeated death and sin, because he is the representative of the moral perfection that is God.
Does Jesus exist?
Can't meet that criteria.
Does Jesus exist now?
I believe that Jesus has always existed.
Okay, so if he existed before the sacrifice and he exists after the sacrifice, what did he give up? What was that he sacrificed?
Yeah, maybe. See, that's why I was trying to figure out how to answer with the word sacrifice. Maybe it's not so much sacrifice; it's just that what he did, it defeated sin and death. Like it gave us.
So okay, so you said it defeated sin and death. So people no longer sin
or die.
Yeah, and that's how it goes going to go next.
Yeah.
Well, the punishment of sin is death, and then evil has to be punished, right?
Well, I guess so, but my question is, what it was different before and after his death, alleged death, because he's still alive. But what changed?
It doesn't sound like it was defeated.
Yeah, I mean, we still die, right? I mean, unless I missed that memo.
Give me one question at a time.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll try to rephrase it. Whatever the rules were for...
What did it accomplish?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Thank you. What was accomplished? What changed from before death to after death, other than the calendar system?
Salvation, the possibility of salvation.
So everyone that existed before Jesus died couldn't get salvation?
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. And this is the part where I have to say I don't know enough.
No, and I love that answer. But you gave an answer that said salvation. So now you're saying you don't know if that's true.
No, I don't know if it was necessary or not before Christ lived.
Okay, so then I'm going to take that off the table by your own admission. What changed?
What changed after the resurrection?
Well, what's different before? What changed before the resurrection and after the resurrection? What's the difference? You said salvation, then you said that you don't know that it was necessarily different. Okay, so we took that off. So give me something else.
Well, if it was the case that the resurrection was necessary for salvation, then that would have to be something that changed. The fact that occurred and now is available.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to where we were because maybe I misunderstood. If the resurrection was necessary for salvation, are you saying that everyone that lived before Jesus' resurrection did not have a chance at salvation? Are you making that claim?
Well, only from a logical standpoint, because we're using the hypothetical if. So if the resurrection was necessary, then absolutely it would mean that they didn't have a chance at salvation. Oh. But I'm not saying that that's the case because I don't know it.
Okay, so would they all be burning in hell, or did they all get a free pass?
Again, hypothetical. I can't answer that either.
Because if they're burning in hell, that God would be pretty evil. But if you gave them a free pass, then I think that would be even worse.
Because then the whole resurrection is not needed.
Well, not only is it not needed, but now there's a failure condition.
Right. And again, I can only speculate on this too. But the Bible says that those who don't hear the gospel, they'll be judged according to their hearts. Now, maybe that's part of an answer of what happened before.
I like this because you just went the direction I kind of was hoping you were going to go with before. If someone doesn't know the gospel, they're judged on their hearts. Is that fair resummary of what you said?
It's fair of what I believe the Bible says.
Okay, I'll go with what you believe the Bible says. If that's the case, would it then not be better to not teach anyone about Christianity so that they could be judged on their hearts instead of some other rules that are in the book?
That could definitely be on a case by case. I mean, essentially you could say, if I choose not to teach my children that murder is wrong, And
No,
they
no, I'm
commit
not. I'm not
just
saying
because
murder. I'm saying Christianity. So, without the knowledge of the Bible and Christianity, they're not judged on the rules and conditions of the Bible and Christianity. They're judged on their hearts. Again, if I'm understanding what you said, and so you are making what potentially could be interpreted as a very, very wonderfully powerful, strong argument that Christians should be anti-evangelical. That they should
and you
make
could
it.
also, and that's true. That's true. But you could also make the exact same case that evangelizing might cause more people to want to turn to Christ and get that salvation. Now, both cases. could be
Well,
made.
how's
Can't
the
really
salvation
say which-
necessary? You just said that they're judged on their hearts.
Because if you know that you have an opportunity for being redeemed or you're saved, stuff like that, it might make you more inclined to seek it and want it rather than just.
Okay, so what are the rules of redemption then? How does one become redeemed in a way other than what's in their heart? Because that's apparently what changed. So what are the rules?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't know.
and I love I don't know as an answer. You're doing great, and I love honest, straightforward answers. But I keep coming back to the situation, and I think it's because maybe you haven't really formalized this, or the problem is you're thinking about it too much. Is that there's no difference between before and after Jesus. There's no difference between before and after being Christian. And if that continues to be your answer, why? Why do all this stuff? Why create all these rules that aren't necessary? And I love that you're not sure, and that's awesome. But if you're not sure, you're apparently sure enough to call and want to talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, what specific question did you want to?
I don't know that I had one. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My mistake.
I think he was summarizing a bit on where he was.
Like conversations just about anything, so I have to go like one step at a time.
Yeah. I love that form of discussion, and we try that. So many callers don't have the abilities you have to focus on one topic.
It frustrates me as much as it frustrates you because I watch you guys' shows every single week.
Hey, well, glad you do, man, and I'm glad that. So what I love is that you saw that I did something and you called me out on it. I'm happy to be called out. You're right. There was an ad hom that I used. And does slinging around ad homs, is that a good reason to make people believe one thing or another? No, it's not. It felt good though, but no, it's not good reason in and of itself.
Right.
This conversation I could listen to for days. It's kind of amazing that just it sounds like there's really. Jonathan, I'm going to create an anti-paladin in my next campaign called Jonathan, and his entire job is going to be to make people not believe in his deity. It sounds amazing.
That seems counterproductive to me.
No, but listen back to this video.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I think I love the honest answers. I love the thoughtful answers. And if we had more callers that responded in the way that you did, or think and are making the effort in the real world to understand how things work, I would probably have to find a different hobby than being on a show like this, because we'd all be in a better place. So kudos to you for making those efforts and giving straightforward, truthful answers. I'm honored to have this chat with you.
Definitely.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
All right, you guys too.
That was fun.
Right?
It was calm. It wasn't. I mean, he's got some thoughts that maybe they're a little fuzzy on the edges when you really push the details, and I have that. I'm guilty of that all the time. If someone really sits down and says, "Phil, do you think this? Do you think this? Do you think this?" and then you go, "Oh crap! A couple of my things are in inherent conflict with each other."
And I think that just some of those presuppositions. I love the way that you challenged a couple of those. That was just very much okay. You came into this with this, but if that is the case, then what was that? I'm stealing.
Let's steal it all. Steal it all. And it's so funny because from your show and from the other shows on this network, I have learned so much about how to talk to people and honestly how to think myself better, because there is a regular frequency, unfortunately, where I am corrected and people can inform me that I did something either fallacious in my thinking or I believed something that wasn't true. And I know it's a foundation to this network, this ACA thing. Believe more true things and less false things.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was doing something I am so delighted to hear that so many people don't do, where they just go, this is what I believe, and I'm absolutely sincere and positive and dogmatic about it. I've never really thought about it.
I don't know. I'll check it out.
Think about it.